Okay, we're live. I am Joshua Kemble, and this is my live stream. I'm gonna live stream real quick this morning, but full disclosure, like around 11, like maybe 10:50, I'll probably stop working on comics and watch Gary Hodges live stream because his live stream's at 11, and I like to tune into it. But till then, I'm gonna be live streaming while I work on. Uh, Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And I thought I'd get in about maybe an hour or so of coloring work uh, before Gary's stream. And then I should be live streaming probably throughout the day, working on comic colors. I'm going to be coloring today page 27, and we'll see how that goes. But anyhow, who am I? If you're tuning in for the first time, I'm Joshua Kemble. I've been a professional illustrator and graphic designer for about, let's see here, for about 20 years. And I have also worked on graphic novels like Jacob's Apartment, which is my comic book story that is basically about Jacob and Sarah, two young adults that are kind of going through different crises in their lives that are causing, like Jacob's crisis is causing him to question his faith. He's lost his father of cancer and is basically trying to figure out what his identity is, what is the purpose in life, asking like those heavy, hard questions that kind of come up when you lose a loved one. And he's also being plagued by dreams of himself as a dinosaur that he had as a kid, which is this little dinosaur character. And so the storyline kind of weaves between the real world and the dream world. I'm going to see if I can turn up the lighting just a little bit because I just noticed it's like awfully dark in this room. Okay, so oh, and then Debbie Renew said a live stream I can actually catch. Yeah, I usually live stream super late at night, but on the weekends I try to do kind of morning streams and stuff like that. But anyhow, so this is a comic book that if you took like Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind and Ghost World and put them in a blender and you like the flavor of that, this might be a book worth picking up from Graphic Mundi. And welcome to Debbie in the chats. And then Two Stories is my other comic book. It's a autobiographical story that basically deals with my journey dealing with depression, as well as caregiving for somebody with panic disorder, and also talks about growing up as a kid in a Christian school, kind of experiencing and witnessing a lot of hypocrisy, and also dealing with playground politics as a kid. And it switches from these more lighthearted childhood stories to these heavier topic adult stories. And this book is available at Amazon, so you can pick that up there. So Jacob's Apartment, you can go to your local bookstore, any bookstore really, and have them order it, or you can purchase it there if they already have it. And then Two Stories, Amazon. That's my plugs. There's one other fun thing that I want to try doing, and I could fail really epically at it before we get going live. So this is a new thing, but so my friend Adam is a musician, and Adam Lohr, he's been on the channel and stuff before. And I was telling him I really like one of his songs a lot. I like actually a lot of his music. It's very like quirky, They Might Be Giantsy type music, and I enjoy it a lot. And I told Adam that on my next live stream, I would be covering an Adam Lohr song because I was like, he does a song called Particle Target, and I love it. It's probably his most popular song, I think, on his YouTube. And I was like, hey, Adam, give me the chords, and I'm going to take a crack at covering it. So that's what I'm going to do right now before I actually get into doing comics. I'm going to do a quick cover of Particle Target. And so bear with me. I'm going to play it on my crappy guitar because it's the one I keep in the living room. I have a better acoustic that's in my room, but I don't want to do all the setup and stuff like that because the whole point of this stream is to work on comics. But still, I thought it would be fun to do a cover of Adam's song. So let's see if I bomb it. I'm going to do that. And then what we'll do after that is go to our regular stream where we're showing Art, Debbie said I'm rendering a comic page. That's awesome. Ronnie Gunter's in the chats as well. So I'm going to do a quick cover of that song. You guys got to bear with me and forgive me for my terrible voice and guitar playing. But I promised Adam I would do this. So we'll see if I can do this real quick. And then again, right after that, we'll get into coloring comics, which is pretty much what I'm going to be doing for the majority of the day. And like I said, we're going to go till about 10:50, and then at 10:50 I'm gonna cruise over to Gary Hodges' stream because that's where it's at on Saturdays at 11. So and if you guys aren't subscribed to Gary Hodges, or like Ronnie, for instance, Ronnie in the chats, make sure you're subscribed to Crimson Owl Comics on YouTube as well. So but also make sure you're subscribed to Gary Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots. Gary Hodges' channel is really good. Okay, that's enough delaying. I'm nervous. I don't play live on live streams a lot. I do play music live, but it's a different thing if you're like playing on a live stream to nobody. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to grab my guitar and we're covering Particle Target. And Adam, if I destroy your song, if you're watching this after the fact, forgive me. Okay. So I'm going to try it capoed on like the... I think like the 7th fret. That seemed to be what worked out best for me. So let's see what we can do here. And I'm going to move the mic down a little bit so it gets a little more... I don't know what the sound's going to be like either, so you guys will just have to let me know. Particle target now. Don't look at the particle target then. Don't look at the particle target ever, or you'll ruin the experiment. Maybe they'll find a Higgs boson. Maybe they'll find a new lepton. Maybe they'll find a polyhedron. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Don't look at the particle target now. Don't look at the particle target now. Don't look at the particle target ever, or you'll ruin the experiment. Maybe they'll make a tiny black hole. Maybe they'll make themselves a white hole. Maybe they'll create a rainbow hole, and it will devour a galaxy. Don't look at the particle target now. Don't look at the particle target then. Don't look at the particle target ever, or you'll ruin the experiment. All right, so that was it. That was my cover of Adam's Particle Target. You guys should check out the original. I butchered it. I kind of did my own spin and just played it free open notes, but that was fun. All right, so I don't know what the sound was like either. You guys will have to let me know in the chats, like if you could even hear. It might have blown out because of this mic, but I have no idea. Crimson Owl Comics said had Geo last week. If you didn't catch it, I'm gonna have to catch that out. So check that out. And also, I want to let you guys know, like Adam is a really talented musician. I recommend you guys check out Adam Lore. Full disclosure, his channel gets drama heavy quite often, but I think Adam's like really brilliant. I actually think he's a really smart songwriter and a friend of the show. So. I thought that would be a fun little tribute and a good way to start off the show this morning. Cool. Ronnie said it sounded great. That's awesome. It's a good song. It's a really good song. Like he wrote a good song. He wrote a couple good songs, quite a few good songs. Okay. So now we're going to get into working on some comics. And then thanks to Adam for kind of like giving me the chords and stuff for that. Cause I was trying to figure it out. Initially, I think I was going to play it with like, starting on a C or an A minor. I can't remember, but he kind of gave me give me the chords for it too and the lyrics. So good to know. All right, so let's get into coloring this page. This is going to be a fun little thing that we're going to do till about 10. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, so usually if I'm working on roughs or thumbnails down here, I'll have sections of the script. Obviously, I'm not working on that right now, so I'll probably put my like absurd little my little logo down there since we don't have to look at the script. And then over here, we're going to be like, that's going to be where I'm working. This is basically my Photoshop. So we can kind of see what progress that I'm making and kind of basically follow along. So I hope you guys are having a good time. I hope you guys are working on art and having a good creative morning. And I'm planning on just kind of rocking this business. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to save it because this is the pencil phase. And so I'm going to save this as in my finals area. I'm going to have to check that out, though, Ronnie, if I'd love to see that. Philip, how's everything going? Is everything kind of okay with the apartment now? Did you guys get that all taken care of? I hope everything's okay. I know you were having a rough one the last time we streamed, so I hope things are starting to look brighter for you, buddy. All right, so we're going to grab this. And the one thing I made a mistake on this is I merged the panel border layer with the line layer. And so I need to go back in and kind of make these selections manually because it's going to take like 10 years to do it if I do it with the magic wand tool. So that was a tough mistake on my part that I don't usually do. Usually I will merge those two layers after I've done this, and I made the mistake of not doing that. So I'm literally just going to go in there and select my borders. I always recommend, like when you're doing color, to start with the flat area of your borders. That way you always stay within. I also have noticed like there's a little bit of sloppiness going on with the rendering. And as you can see, this page took me a long time to do, like a couple more days than I would have liked. But it's partially like this script. I love this script. I love this story. But this is one of those scripts that as a cartoonist you read and you're like, oh my gosh, now we're adding 8 hours. Now we're adding 16 hours. Because like when you get to scenes where it's like they look out the window and there's a giant crowd of people marching to the Capitol building having a protest. Like you're like, oh great, okay, so now I have to look up this like Capitol building. I have to draw the streets of Victorian era Italy and about 1 million people. And in this case, this is a very simplified crowd scene, but yeah, crowd scenes, it's like I keep waiting for the page that's going to be like, it's a stable full of horses. Just trying to think of like things that are tough to draw. But that's not a complaint. I'm actually excited about it. Because one of the things I like about a good an art challenge like that, like right now, for instance, this page, it's like an open market. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is going to take forever to draw. It's going to take forever to flat. But it also is going to look really cool when it's done, you know? But anyhow, this was a beast, you guys. Philip said we started putting things back and settling back in. We're just kind of in wait and see mode and hoping it's done with. Got it. That is a fun mode and a terrifying mode. I think the not knowing, I think this would go for like anything in life, but I feel like not knowing is one of the worst things in the world. I'm not sure what's worse, the anticipation of a problem or the problem itself. And the last few days, I've been thinking about that a lot, like how, I'm much happier when I'm kind of, as cliche as it is, like living in the present and just taking things like one step at a time. And I'm really bad at doing that. But I've been like thinking about that recently where I'm like, man, how bad am I at doing that? Like, it's really hard to be just kind of present in the moment and just try to kind of live day to day and kind of take things one day at a time. But I have been working on that, and I feel like this year I've been much more content. Part of that is just from being super busy. Like since taking on this book, I feel like I haven't gotten hit with like, I've written a comic about this too. It's like I definitely have issues with like depression and stuff like that, and like weirdly enough, like I haven't gotten hit with like major bouts of depression or anything. With this book, and I think part of it's just like you're just, when you have to just kind of work and just kind of walk one step at a time and things are way too busy, I'm not saying people should overload themselves, but I'm just saying like when you're busy, a lot of those kind of things like can kind of disappear. At least for me, I should stop saying you, because it's like I'm not talking for you guys. I'm just saying I've been finding that very beneficial for myself, like just kind of taking things day by day. And, and that goes for both the good and the bad. That's another thing I've been thinking about this year, where I am, buried. Like I have no time to do anything. And I'm not saying this as a complaint. It's just interesting because a lot of the reasons that I'm like exhausted and stuff are good things. Like these are not, bad things. Like they're good opportunities. But I was just realizing like good opportunities in life come with like a bunch of responsibility and extra work. And I've talked about this on my channel before, where it's like, hey, congratulations for doing work and working really hard. Here's your reward. It's more work. Like that tends to be how things work. And so I've been thinking about that a lot lately, where it's like I am not at all remotely like experiencing like the level of success that like a lot of cartoonists do. And I just realized like it's starting to dawn on me that like that in itself is a lot of responsibility and stress as well. Even when somebody's succeeding, it can add a lot to your plate. And so I think like regardless whether dealing with hardship or blessing, I guess it seems like just the whole idea of like trying to be present, trying to be in the moment, it is almost like essential. It's a weird thing, but that's something I've been like thinking about lately. Just trying to do things like one step at a time. And sort of see where they end up, Oh, I also should. Oh, Philip said that's a really impressive page. You've done a nice job. Thanks, Philip. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I don't know if this is like delusion or something, but it's like I do feel like with this particular book, I feel like I've hit something. I've hit on something. I really feel very confident that this is probably like the strongest work I've made, at least artistically. Like, and I'm only 27 pages in, but I just feel better about these pages. It's one of the first times I've been working on comics. I think 2 Stories was maybe like this, but I feel like I feel like comics do get it. It's hard to say. I don't want to say they get easier because they don't. They remain difficult, but it's like when you've done them for a while, this weird thing unlocks that I've found where it's not that it gets easier, but it's like I'm better at planning so that like things start coming out more like I envisioned them. Like, so, my first crack at comics, was like a real struggle to just kind of figure out like what my method was, what any of this stuff even was. Whereas now I feel like it's more just a time challenge. But I'm not like I'm not struggling figuring out how to do the pages. I'm struggling just making the time to do the pages the way I know I need to. And by the way, you're gonna hear some noise because Ben and my wife and her sister are going up to visit a friend. Oh, that's true. Going down. I always say up, which is ridiculous. This is a brain problem I have. Hey Ben, have fun. Have fun. Have fun. I love you.
Don't forget about the dogs.
I won't. 2:00.
Well, not just
that.
I know. I got
tell them about what we're doing right now.
You want to tell them what you're doing?
Okay, so
Here. Benji wants
so-
to tell you guys. Don't say locations or anything like that, but you can tell them.
well, anyways, we're just heading someplace, and I had to pack a lot of toys.
Yeah.
This bag right now is actually a little bit heavy.
Yeah, it is.
It actually feels like it has a bit of weight.
Here, let me see. Whoa! Oh, that was too heavy. Oh, I can't lift it.
Dad is joking. Dad's
how'd you do
joking.
it?
Dad is always joking.
Yeah, is that true?
Dad's always joking.
That's true. That is true. He's right. He knows his dad pretty well. All right, have a fun trip. So yeah, anyhow, I guess I was just saying like it's been interesting, the journey of growing as an artist, where it's like now like this comic is the most I've felt that, where like I'll plan out a page and then just so far, like for 27 pages, every single page has come out how I intended it. And that's kind of weird. I mean, of course I can look at it and like any artist, I can look at it and dissect it and be like, if I had like 3 days longer, I would do this differently and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been an interesting kind of journey in that sense. It's been a great adventure. The greatest adventure is what lies ahead. Yeah, that's right. I sang The Hobbit. Do you guys remember that Hobbit? Like the one from the 70s, I believe. Was it Rankin Bass who did that? I just remember the song, the Hobbit song, because we had The Hobbit on vinyl. And this is going to be like show you how old I am. Like when I was a kid, we had like a little portable record player, and it had like Disney soundtracks, and like we had the Hobbit soundtrack, and the Hobbit soundtrack had that song. The greatest adventure is what lies ahead. And the guy who sang it had like this like bouncy voice. I can't explain it, but his voice was like whenever he sang. is what lies ahead. But anyhow, I kind of need to look into this. There was one night a long time ago where I went down kind of a rabbit hole of like trying to find out more about the guy who sang the Greatest Adventure song. And I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but I'm pretty sure I think he was actually in Planet of the Apes as like a character or something. I don't know if that's just me making that up, but I'm pretty sure he was like a character in Planet of the Apes and he was like this folk musician. But maybe I'm like mixing two stories together. You see? Oh, there we go. That's the self-reference. Rankin Bass did Return of the King. It was supposed to be the finale to Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings that never got finished. Bye, guys. Have a good trip. So, we have lips selected. And now I need to select some hair. So this is going to be an interesting thing. I think as far as I'm going to get probably before Gary's stream is if I can get Elizabeth and Wilson, her maid, kind of colored and ready. And Wilson's had a costume change. It's kind of like a similar costume to what we've seen her in for the first, 26-ish pages of this. But it's going to be like more of a kind of Italian twist on her regular costume. So Philip said, I think you were referring to Roddy McDowell. Is that it? Who's the guy who's saying The Greatest Adventure? Maybe I'm just mixing that together. CB Smallwood said, you're a beast at getting those pages done. Thank you, CB. And CB Smallwood, Wildcat Anthology, you guys need to go fund that thing. It's cool. It's I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it. I feel like when I was in junior high, I was super like a lot of people my age. This was for me junior high, and like late elementary school. The image boom kind of hit comics, and I went from being like a kid who was reading Spider-Man and X-Men and Wolverine and stuff like that. Mainly Spider-Man. That was kind of my jam. And I was really into McFarlane's Spider-Man as a kid because I think Todd McFarlane especially speaks to like that age range, like to an incredible degree. Anyhow, there was like this whole movement of like the early Image guys and stuff like that. And like a lot of kids my age, I as a kid who was already going to comic shops every Wednesday, I would like bike there after school, like because I loved comics so much. I was completely enthralled with the Image boom, and I still have to credit that movement to getting me into a lot of indie comics, because around that time you also had great things happening in comics like the Sandman and like the whole Vertigo movement was kind of happening in parallel. I think maybe potentially a little bit after, but it's like, so you had DC's Vertigo, and then you had like Image Comics putting out these, new comics made by like these rock star creators. And it was like this whole thing. Anyhow, the feeling that I had as a kid reading all of the Image guys is kind of the feeling I feel like CB is evoking with the Wildcat stories. Like it just feels like a very authentic attempt, and I don't mean attempt in a negative way. I shouldn't even say attempt. I should say it seems like a really authentic love letter to like comics of that era, but done like legitimately. Like there's not sarcasm or like satire or anything like that. It's like it's a pure love letter to that kind of comic. And as a kid who like loved those kind of comics, and then also as a friend of a lot of the contributors, it's like, yeah, I'd like to see it happen. So Wildcat Anthology on Indiegogo, you guys should go fund it. But anyhow, thank you, CB. I feel like I'm really slow at getting these pages done, but I guess it's all just in the eye of the beholder. I think as cartoonists, we're always looking at other cartoonists and thinking they have the magic trick to getting it done quicker. Because I look at, pretty much every cartoonist in my circle, and I just always assume that they're much quicker than I am. And I think that's partially just because comics take so long that I don't know if you could ever be fast enough. But I do know guys that are like way faster, like David Hartman we had on Artcasters, and he did a page on stream, and within 1 hour he had gone from like pretty much like a loose layout with no detail to penciled, inked, and colored in the process of one live stream, just like from blank page to finished comic page. And I was like, that is why David Hartman is a beast, and also is able to direct movies, do animations, make like a billion comics. So there are guys out there that are just incredibly quick. So I always feel like, pretty slow because I'm aware of those guys. I'm also like aware of just the time frame, but for me, my big trick, and I think a lot of you guys might relate to this, but my big trick is just dedication. Like I'm going to show up a lot. This is what kind of worked for me in art school too, was like I would just work like 3 times as hard as the guys in my class that were really talented. And that way, like when when we'd all hang our stuff on the wall for critique, like my stuff would hold water next to theirs. And it's just because I worked like 3 times harder. And I had a lot of talented people in my class, including my wife. She was in my class, and they would put in about, and I'm not saying they didn't work. Like they worked really hard on their pages. It's just for me to get the result they would get, I'd have to work about like 3 hours or 4 hours longer. But I never would use that as like an excuse. I'd just be like, no, I'm gonna keep doing that and level up and make the thing I want to make. I don't think I'm unique in that. I think a lot of artists do that, but it is one of those things in a competitive field. You have to you got to just like do whatever works to kind of get you the result you need. And be competitive or whatever. CB said you're the quickest. If I had your speed, I'd have it made. Oh, well, thank you. I don't know though, CB. Like even what your pages are, I think, are probably a little harder. I think it might be a little easier when you're doing representational stuff, where it's like I can, like I don't have to invent a lot of this stuff. I can kind of look at like what does a scene look like outdoors in Italy at a market in Victorian England, and then from there it's like I have enough kind of like visual spark to like start kind of making the thing. But I think like with stuff that's like more action or more fiction, it's like it actually can be harder to do the pages because you have to invent a lot more. And invention can be very challenging. It can also be a lot more free and fun, because it's like, I don't know, if my costumes don't have to look like a specific era, like that is kind of freeing in a way. but it also can be like way more difficult. So I did that cover of Particle Target at the beginning of this stream by Adam. And I'm thinking about maybe occasionally doing that on stream. Like, as corny as it is, it's like music's a part of what I do. So I might try to do like 1 or 2 songs every once in a while on stream just to like shake things up and have a little bit of fun on here. And also just because I enjoy playing guitar, so it's kind of, it can be a fun thing to do. Oh no, Jose Cabrera's in town. Jim said, "What are the chances of you making it to Canners tonight for clam, CLAM as in monkey?" That's like the meetups that Jim does. I don't think it's gonna happen, Jim. I got family out of town, so they actually have the car. So I'm carless right now. We had to switch to a 1-car family recently because both our cars died around the same time, and we just got like a new Honda. But they're visiting a family, like they're visiting family downtown, so I have no way to get there. Let me know the time though, Jim, that's at, because if they're home by then, I might, like, in time where I'd be able to drive up there. I will definitely go because yeah, Cabrera is a good dude, so it would be fun. I haven't seen that guy in forever. So we're coloring this hair. CB said, "True, but you add a lot of visual elements that still would take other people weeks to do, like the backgrounds you do and the people in the backgrounds and the natural postures. A lot of work." Thank you. Jim said 5:30. Yeah, I can't. that's just too soon. Because yeah, my wife and her sister, one of their friends is pretty sick, and so they're having like a meetup in to just kind of be a support for their friend. And so like they're going to be probably definitely, like, I think the quickest they'd be back would be like 6 or something like that. So we are selecting our but Jim did say we'll be there late tonight. So if I can, I will. How about that, Jim? But I'll text you and let you know, like, once they're back. Because again, it's hard to kind of know how long that'll take. Okay, so we're gonna have here Elizabeth's maid. Where what? Okay, so that's the new costume. I should decide whether I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do Elizabeth's skin tone first. So we're not gonna do that new costume yet. Let's do Elizabeth's skin tone. Cool. Yeah, Jim said text me if you think you can make it. We should be there really late. Yeah, definitely will. Okay, we are getting close, guys. So picking the skin tones here. I got in a heated discussion with Jeff Lafferty on Artcasters, where we were talking about like indie publishing versus publishers. And it was a really lively discussion. I got to give credit to Jeff. We got a little heated, but like we kept our cool, and I feel like we're still good. And I think I expressed kind of my opinion on it, where I kind of think both are legitimate. I think if you want to self-publish your work, you should self-publish your work. If you want to go through a publisher, you should go through a publisher. I think there are benefits to both, you know. But I kind of don't want to get like heavily into laying out all of that again. But I will say, Art Casters was awesome. Our guest was like super inspiring and cool. And then it was funny, right after Art Casters, I always try to hop over to just check out the Artcast on Jeff's channel, and lo and behold, they wanted to like kind of pull me on so that we could kind of debate publishing versus versus self-publishing. It was an interesting conversation and a little heated, but you know, I don't know. I don't mind exchanging ideas with people, and sometimes even if it's uncomfortable and you have to kind of debate, it's like I'm okay with that, especially when it's in good faith. And I'm assuming that that whole thing was in fairly good faith. So the only times that I find those conversations not profitable, and you guys would probably agree with this, it's like if you're in a bad faith conversation where somebody's just hell bent on like, you know, just kind of creating strife and not necessarily looking for like a dialogue or anything like that. Those are the only times where it's like I don't really see a point to like kind of engaging in any sort of disagreement or whatever in a conversation. But it was it was a challenging conversation, but it was interesting. And that's on Jeff Lafferty's channel too. That was, I think I said last night, but that was the night before. And then yesterday, you know, I'm sure you guys have had that too, but yesterday was one of those days where, man, I had pushed it too far on this page because of the crowd scenes. And so yesterday when I got home from work, I was just like out. Like I just went to bed, and I think I tried to wake up at one point and was just like, nope, that's not going to happen. And I wound up waking up this morning to kind of be in a situation to work or whatever. Ronnie just sent a photo. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. I should share that. Maybe I'll share. Ronnie, I'm not sure if you want me to share what she sent me on stream. Let me know. Ronnie's working on a horror comic of his own as well. Okay. So we're going to do Elizabeth's skin tone. And then Philip said, wanting to DM about having me on my live stream. We're having another in about 2.5 weeks. Yeah, dude, as long as the time frame works out, that'd be awesome. Yeah, Philip does a live stream on his channel, Philip Chandler, with another friend who's an artist. And yeah, I'd happily hop on there. I'm usually pretty happy to kind of hang out, especially with people in our community on live streams and stuff like that when I'm able, because like it's just a good group we've got. Hard to explain, but it's like there are a lot of communities online that get super toxic and kind of crazy, and I love our community. Like I really like our community. I feel like there's rarely drama in our community, and when there is, it's like not unresolvable drama. It's like pretty mild. And I like that. I like that a lot about our community. So we're just getting in there and deselecting Elizabeth's hands right now. I need to try to remember today to try to secure a table space at Long Beach Comic Con, because LA Comic Con is out because I was too late to that. And I did email the promoter for Long Beach, which I've never done, and I've heard bad and good things about. But I do need to be out there promoting my book, and so I'm thinking about doing Long Beach. However, we were going to do more of Elizabeth. Yes. Okay, Elizabeth's eye color would be good. But anyhow, like I don't want to make the same mistake. It's like, but again, like I've been so slammed doing so many different things that it's like really easy to drop the ball on something like booking a convention. And that's something I definitely want to do. So I'm hoping I can do that. So we are slowly but surely going to get in there and at least get all the selections from previous pages that I need to. Philip said it's pretty laid back and casual. We don't usually get any viewers during the stream, yet it gets viewers in the post after. Yeah, that's awesome. Sounds rad. I'm down. Let's do this. I feel like, is that the color of... Let's double check this. Like, I feel like her eye color is not green, but maybe it is. It is. Haha. Okay. So let's get back to this page and do the green eyes. Do I need to reselect that? I think I do. Okay. So there we go. We've got like our green eyes going here. Yeah, it was fun to talk to Jeff. I hadn't talked to Jeff in a long time. We keep in track of each other's work, and Jeff is a guy I really enjoy. But it was fun to catch up with him and see him. Like, I'm really glad to see Jeff like rocking streams again and art again too, because there was like a little period of time where it felt like he wasn't like making art, at least publicly. And like, when you have creative friends, it's like one of the things you always hope that you're, I wonder if Jim relates to this too, but I think like even the you always kind of hope that they're going to stay in the fight. Like we're all creatives, and we want to see our friends like do well. Like I don't even know if doing well is it. It's like, I feel like with the people I know that are creatives, they seem most happy when they're actually making stuff. So I always want to see my friends happy. And, anyhow, my point is, I'm glad whenever I see like an artist friend who's dropped it for a little bit, like pick up and start rocking again. Cause, the other thing is like, I like Jeff's art a lot. Like he's one of the most talented, artists I know. And so it's just awesome to see him and Gib like streaming again and having fun and rocking. And I hope they continue, Okay, making the selections of the skin tone selections. That's actually a hardcore. Oh, nice. Corey said just tuned in while we're driving to the beach. That's right. You're in California, right, Corey? I believe so. Unless Idaho's changed significantly. Are you talking about the Idaho beach just outside of Yellowstone? Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying California. I believe Corey was doing like a family get together kind of thing, like a big family reunion in the Cali area. All right, guys, we've got our flat color selections going. I'm pretty pumped about Gary's stream at 11 today. Tonight was the wrong word. Today is the correct word. Although it might be tonight for some people, who you never know. Yeah, Corey said we're heading to Hearst Beach. Cousin on my mom's side this week. That's awesome. I will tell you guys, if you live in California and they're open, because I know they were closed for a while, but Hearst Castle is a place that should be visited in California, like especially if you're into cartooning and the history of cartooning, because the lunatic, one of the wealthiest people in the world at the time, William Randolph Hearst, is like a figure in comics, and the lunatic mentality that went into building this crazy, just insane castle, like where he just grabs like ancient Grecian statues and has them shipped overseas. And like, I think there's like a European castle ceiling that is a solid piece of wood that it took like, I forget, there's like a story, I think it's like 2 ships had to like sail side by side with this giant like ceiling like attached to like transport it to, so that he could then transport it and have it somehow impossibly moved up this hill and then installed as like a solid oak or whatever ceiling, because he was the richest person in the world, so he could just throw money at whatever he wanted and make it happen. But this guy who built this crazy castle, and you can look up pictures online and stuff, is also fundamental to the history of cartooning, because it's almost like a lunatic like that was almost required to run things like Crazy Cat and like to take the risk to do things like Crazy Cat or Little Nemo and Slumberland. And like, he was so in love with George Harriman's stuff that he ran it for years. Yeah, William Randolph Hearst is just a weird guy. He's a weird figure. He also blacklisted, now I'm blanking out, Citizen Kane's director. Somebody in the chats will, Orson Welles. Because Citizen Kane was loosely based on Hearst. Like it was meant as like, it's like if I knew, like if one of you guys were super wealthy and I made an entire movie that was just like ribbing you for it. That's what he did. That's what like Citizen Kane is. It's like a jab against Randolph Hearst. Even the term Rosebud, there's a rumor that that the word Rosebud was William Randolph Hearst's nickname for a private area of one of his concubines or something. And so just the fact that even that was like, the whole movie was built on that word, and you have the entire movie saying we're going to reveal what that is. When he said Rosebud, like we're going to reveal it at the end, it was pretty much like a way to kind of make William Randolph Hearst sit through an entire movie thinking that this is going to be like an expose on an affair that he was having. So Orson Welles made that movie very subversively as like a big middle finger to William Randolph Hearst. And there's a lot of stories about it. And some of it gets into myths. And honestly, it's been a long time since I've read about it. So I'm not sure, even that Rosebud tale, I'm not sure how much of that is like Hollywood lore kind of stuff or how much of it's like legit. But I can say it did piss off Hearst enough to where he just like pretty much ruined Orson Welles' career and made it so that no one in Hollywood would hire him. But anyhow, Hearst Castle is amazing because it's like you see this guy who just is loaded with more money than any human being should ever have, really, and is just like also really obsessed with art, but like kind of has like a respect and a disrespect for it, like weirdly enough, because he'd do things like just demolish like ancient, like he'd basically just take like priceless artworks and just have them installed like as part of his pool, that kind of stuff. It's fascinating stuff. But it's all like, again, it's like I kind of can't help but also like Hearst because like he's the reason Winsor McKay ever got hired, you know? So it's like this very nuanced, kind of complicated thing. I think we've pulled all the color we need to from previous pages. I'm going to now get into doing that that dress, but first I'm going to go ahead and take a very quick break because we've been going for an hour. I will play the trailer for Jacob's Apartment, and then we'll come back and we'll color till about 10:50, and then at 10:50 I would recommend we all of us head over to Gary Hodges' channel. So all right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and play the trailer for Jacob's Apartment. Let's see here.
Clearly it seems that only in dreams can we be these things we've seen and walk around breathing them.
let's see here. Okay, so it's still a white hat. It's just a different hat. It's very similar to her old hat. I think that the nice thing about Wilson as a character is I'm always going to try to keep her in like a maid's outfit. But in this case, it's going to be like a more casual, kind of like Italian feeling maid's outfit. Because at this point, she's kind of like cruising around the markets in Italy, speaking Italian to the vendors there. We worked on the roughs for this on a live stream. Let's see. Philip said, just curious, can you make color palettes for characters? You can. The thing that I find is that I actually find it a lot quicker to just pull it from previous pages, because when I've made palettes in the past for characters, like if I were making this for a different artist to work on, I might do that. Because like that's a good way to like unify and create like a unified style guide. But for me, I find it like way more advantageous to just pull it from previous pages, because I will personally just forget what spot which colors go in. And then if I have to label each Pantone or swatch that I'm making as like, okay, this is the collar and sleeves, this is this. By the time I've read that, I could just pull up a page, turn off the line art, and just eyedrop it. You know what I mean? So that's not a bad method, though. It's just like I feel like pretty content with the method I've got here. Okay, so she's wearing like an apron down here. This page may take me like most of today to flat color. Corey said next week my dad's side at Lava Hot Springs. Hey, when you're there at the Lava Hot Springs, Corey, can you guess what I'm going to say? I actually want to see if in the chats Corey can guess what I'm going to ask him. What would I ask if you're visiting somewhere that you might want to check out? Especially the Lava Hot Springs. And also, if you guys go to Hearst Castle, I would say you should check out the same thing. Corey, I bet you know exactly what I'm going to ask. A hint is my day job, I work for a souvenir. A souvenir company. So what would I annoyingly ask friends when they're about to visit somewhere? Exactly. Corey was like, check out the gift shop. Exactly. Yeah, you might see some stuff from my day job, which, by the way, nothing that I do on any of these live streams is, qualifies as the opinion of the company I work for. These are all personal opinions and ideas. But yes, anyhow. Philip was saying, yeah, okay, I gotcha. Good to know. Yeah, and like, I don't think it's a bad practice to make swatches. I don't know if this makes sense, but I think a lot of artists have different processes. And I've noticed it tends to boil down between two different personality types. There are some people I know who have to have like this perfectly organized, beautifully like clean workspace. And like everything has to be spotless. Everything has a drawer and a cubby and a location. And then there's chaos artists. And you'll notice the difference between even the way they lay out like their palettes. I'm an organized chaos artist. So it's like I have my own system. Everything's organized. But for me, it's like very chaotic. I mean, it's not chaotic for me, but for anyone else who might like get into my workspace, they'd just be like, why the hell is this here? And like, why are these like laid out this way? Like I have like my own little system of organized chaos. And I think that for me, swatches are kind of the same type of thing, where it's like, I know it's probably a more organized way to do character work, but I can get the same result in a much more chaotic way that makes more sense for me. So that's what I do. Does that make sense? I don't know. I've noticed that, like, especially being an art director, I've noticed, like, there's usually one of two, like, and neither is like more effective than the other. And both kind of drive the other a little nuts. But it's like I haven't really seen it like affect anyone's productivity or anything, like the two different methods. I've just noticed that there's just those two personalities, controlled chaos and then controlled organized. The one thing that never is effective is uncontrolled. That's just like the uncontrolled artists are rarely are going to make are going to get stuff done. But controlled chaos artists, this is just my theory I'm thinking about out loud. I'm a bit more on the controlled chaos artist kind of realm. I kind of wonder what side you guys are on. Like, do you fall towards more of a controlled chaos type? I need to fix the collar. I did the old collar on this dress. That's not good. Actually, I have to fix this. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and okay. I'm gonna go ahead and make this magenta, and then we'll get back to it. I want to fix the line art on this dress. I accidentally gave her a lot of qualities of the older dress that aren't impossible fixes. Okay, so first I need to do my rich black, which is my 50, 100. All right, and we have about 20 minutes left, so maybe I might have time to fix the dress. We're going to fix this dress. So this dress actually should be more like it has like a kind of frilly thing on the edge. There we go. That's what I'll call fixed. And then I need to do her apron. She has an apron. I don't know if there's all those lines. Okay, she has an apron, and then there's kind of like these little things on the bottom. There's actually a few of those I missed. Like, we need to add some of this here. This is the joy of sequential art, you guys. Okay. So we fixed her collar, and now I need to just put an apron on here. Put an apron on it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Put an Apron on It. This is the show where we add aprons to characters. And I want to look at that apron. Okay, it's not going to be quite as okay. It's one of the things people don't realize about sequential art. I don't usually make an error like that, but every once in a while you're going to make a basic sequential error. Like, you're redrawing characters over and over and over again, and like that kind of thing. Like, I could have just pretended that I didn't see that, but if I did, like, first off, my editor is going to notice it. Second off, the reader. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever read a comic where like a character's costume just magically changes. Try to avoid that kind of thing like the plague, but especially on a costume change where I've gotten so used to drawing her older costume, it just kind of makes sense. Okay, that works a little better. And then we just have to do our little bit down here. So we have about a good, let's see, it's 10:27, and I'm thinking around 10:50 we're going to call it and head over to Gary Hodges' stream. So anybody tuning into this, make sure you guys are subscribed and have hit the bell to like my channel, but also to Gary's, because I'm going to be watching that and kind of tuning into that then. All right. Let's get back to those white areas, but first I want to fix the skin tone. One of the beauties of working digitally is making a patch or a fix like that is not, you know, the end of the world. Actually, it is the end of the world. Sorry, you guys. I just ended the world. Now that we're at the world's end, how's everybody doing out there? How are your comics coming along? How's your art coming along? How's your art journey? I'm curious. I was talking about that a little bit. So far in the stream, I did a cover of Adam Lohr's Particle Target at the very top of this stream. So if you want to hear a really cool song that Adam wrote, completely butchered and destroyed by me, you know, make sure you tune back at the beginning. And then let's see here. And then I was talking about being present and like how I've been kind of challenging myself with that as of late. About just like taking things a day at a time. That's not a profound thing. That's a very like tropey, cliche thing, but that's something I'm working on. And I have noticed a noticeable like lessening of stress in my life by just not over worrying about the types of things that are out of my control and just kind of taking things a day at a time and a step at a time, like one foot in front of the other. And I was saying before, you know, that this happens in times of abundance and times of, you know, famine. It's like in feast and in famine, there's all sorts of potential for stress. And I've just noticed that like by taking things just like one thing at a time, it's kind of like comics. It's like, you know, with my graphic novel, if I think about the whole of the amount of work that I have to get done beyond just back planning it, you know, think about it to back plan and have a plan, but also be like cool with just kind of doing the little step-by-step, slowly but surely process. Trust the process, trust yourself, and take it one page at a time, one panel at a time, one character at a time. I feel like that is pretty true of art, but I think it's true of life in general. And I have just noticed that this year, at least in the past few weeks, like I've been making an active effort to try to just take things one step at a time, day by day. And I've been noticing, yeah, like just this, you know, because I'm an overthinker. I tend to overthink almost everything, which makes me pretty decent at art directing. It makes me pretty decent at comics, but it can make me miserable, like overthinking. And so I have been trying to like not, and I have noticed. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling, cycling through the same info, but Nice. Debbie said, I'm finishing up the page, just adding text, and it's done. That's awesome. Hell yeah. We got one finished comic page. That's great. I'm excited for Gary's stream today. I've said this before. I wondered what Jim's thoughts are on this, but I feel like Jim, I think Jim is pretty tight friends with Gary at this point as well. But it's like, I think one of the things we all like about Gary is just that he is not just making a really great comic. Like, he is a really good cartoonist and a good writer. He's one of the strongest cartoonists that I know, like in the sense of his writing and his visual storytelling is incredible. But one of the things I like about Gary is he is just really gifted at articulating ideas. And I think Corey as well is one of those people who's just like very gifted at taking a complex idea and kind of breaking it down in a digestible way. And it's something I admire in people, you know, when it's done well. You know what I just realized? I think I've been unselecting the puffy sleeves, and I might have to go back in there and reselect them because I think the bottom part of the sleeve is not supposed to be white. So that'll be an interesting thing. Once I'm done with this, I might have to go back in there and reselect those. But anyhow, so I really enjoy Gary's streams because of that. I think he just has a fun way of communicating. He's a strong communicator. Oh, Ronnie said I can show what he sent if I have time. I'm going to try, Ronnie. I actually think that's worth trying. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick. But I also want to get in there and I want to fix that selection error I made with the sleeves. And then we'll get back to it. Because those sleeves are going to be that yellow of the dress. So we've got about 15 minutes left, I believe. And so we'll see how far we can get in 15 minutes. I think that can be a fun challenge. This is another thing I was going to say about working on comics and art. I don't know if you guys find yourselves doing this, but I definitely do. Whoa, what happened to my selection there? Ah. Oh. Sorry, I had a moment of like losing my selection there. I don't know if you guys have had this, but I find that gamifying art can be a really effective way of getting yourself to do more progress than maybe you were intending. If that makes sense. So like for me, like almost like, you know how like video games have like save points and stuff like that. And it's a way to kind of get you to play the game longer. You know, it's like you're going to work harder if you have like, if you know, like, hey, I've got this certain save point, and my goal in this game is like to get to that save point, and then I'm going to kind of work my way beyond that. So I don't know if it makes sense, but when I'm doing art, it's like I'll kind of make up like a save point for myself. Like I'm like, okay, like I can get this far if I, I'm allowed a break if I get this far or whatever. And it's like by doing that, it's kind of like I'm providing myself like a save point. So I'm going to do 15, 40, 100. That's a good like goldy yellow kind of vibe. I like that. Wasn't Goldie the name of the mayor in Back to the Future? Goldie Wilson? Where he's like, Mayor, I like the sound of that. And it's like, Mayor Goldie Wilson. Isn't it Goldie Wilson? I can't remember. You guys will have to correct me if I'm wrong there. I need to rewatch the Back to the Future movies. Those are so incredible. I feel like Back to the Future and, it's funny. I talk about that in two stories because I was obsessed with those films as a kid. But it's like in retrospect, man, like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade's another one where it's like, man, like I watched some of those movies and like Back to the Future and the original Indiana Jones trilogy, they're incredible movies. Like they still hold up. They're so good. At least to me, like they're just like these movies that I never get bored with. Like I could have Back to the Future playing right now and I'd just still be into that movie. It's kind of like an evergreen thing. So it makes more sense to me why as a kid those films like resonated with me so much. Because like looking back, it's like they were really solid films, like just incredibly solidly written, fun films, But like to the point where I can still watch them today. And there's some things from that time, like if you watched like Adventures in Babysitting or something like that, it's like, it's kind of fun to watch in retrospect, but I don't think it holds up quite as well. Like there's movies from that, even Bill and Ted's, like I love Bill and Ted's and I could watch that now and have fun with it. But it's like, there's definitely parts of that movie that I don't think kind of still hold up. Like in retrospect, like there's some stuff in those films where it's like, yeah, like this was a lot cooler when I was younger. And it's like, as I've gotten older, I'm like looking back at it and being like, yeah, that's pretty terrible. But like Back to the Future and Indiana Jones, I don't really have that, that reaction to. All right, guys, we have 10 minutes. I think once I select these dresses, if I can, I want to at least show what Ronnie was showing. I also want to check out. I will tell you guys this too. Ronnie had Javier Hernandez on the show recently. And Javier is a really good guy. He's in our circle. The creator of El Muerto, the founder of the Latino Comics Festival. And he's badass. He's a cool dude. One of the kindest people in comics. 80s was my late teen years. I love movies from that era. I love a lot of movies from that era. I love bad movies from the 80s too. Like I've talked about, as Philip will know, it's like I've talked about like Better Off Dead and which I would love to rewatch again too. That's one of my favorites. No, I'm obsessed with a lot of movies from that era, but it's interesting the specific ones that like I can say without nostalgia attached, they seem to be just movies that if they had come out today exactly as they were then, they would still hold up, you know? And, you know, I don't know if I could say that about, I don't know. I mean, I love Better Off Dead, but I don't know if that movie is like as evergreen as something like Back to the Future, you know, which is just, I don't know, incredible films, guys. Did I somehow miss the, let's see here. Oh, we didn't. Okay, we're good. Okay, I want to do the band of color and then show Ronnie's thing. I think for the band of color, we could do kind of like a more, should be more on this. That was a better route. Well, let's just turn the saturation down. Perfect. Philip said half the movies were pretty cheesy and really not great, but there's something entertaining about them. 100%. I mean, like for instance, even though I said Bill and Ted doesn't really hold up as much, I still love Bill and Ted. Like, it's so just goofy. I also love the fact that it somehow got greenlit, and just what a weird, crazy concept to get greenlit as a film. Okay. Okay, we have some Ronnie Gunter sneak preview stuff. Oh. Okay, so I'm going to magenta everything that I haven't done yet. So we're getting there, guys, but we have a whole crowd in Elizabeth to color. But at least we finished the maid. So, okay. Let's find, let me see if I can get Ronnie's thing up here real quick. All right, sneak peek from Ronnie's comic. Oh, here. I'm going to just make it really big so you guys can see it. That's a panel from Ronnie's comic. Again, you guys should be subscribed to Ronnie on YouTube. Comics de la Muerte. And then this is a saucy sneak peek, you guys. Saucy. Oh, goodness. I can't show that on stream. Sorry. There's nudity in one, so I can't show that one. But nicely done, Ronnie. Nicely done. You guys should check out Ronnie's stuff. Check out his comics. They're good. Very good. Ronnie said LOL. Yeah, I was about to throw that last one on, and then I was like, wait a minute, nipple. Which, by the way, that's never made sense to me. This is me just being weird. Maybe you guys might have an answer to this. Why in like the US is our culture so crazy about like not showing nipples? It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, where it's like you can show a man just shirtless and not a big deal. But if you show like the corner of a nipple on a woman, that's the end of the world. Like that's now you're like talking crazy ratings on your art and stuff, but you can show men shirtless all the time. I mean, I know there's reasons for it, but I feel like they're really strange cultural reasons, and it is a weird double standard that we're like, and I'll admit, you know, like if I'm walking around in public with my kid or something, and we're at the beach and there's a bunch of shirtless dudes, and then suddenly a woman walks by totally shirtless, I might be like, okay, not around my kid. But then what I think of is like, what I'm asking is not like whether that's the case. I'm just like, why is that though? That is the weirdest. I still think it's just a weird double standard we have in society in general. I'm not even saying I don't hold that double standard. It's just a weird double standard, and I do kind of wonder like why? Like why do we have that? We're such a weird culture. Anyhow, that's just a thought. Cap things off at. What do I want Elizabeth's costume to be? Well, there's one more thing we got to adjust. All right. I'm going to do that. We're going to call it. It has gotten to that good old time where we should all go keep company. Oh, nice. Philip just said, I subbed to your YouTube. I'm already following you on Instagram. Cool. To Ronnie. All right. Well, thanks to Debbie, Corey, Philip, Ronnie, Jim. If I missed anybody, I missed anybody. Thank you guys for coming, hanging out with me while I color some comics. I'm going to be probably live streaming again later in the day, but for now, I'm going to be hopping over to Gary Hodges' channel, Gary Hodges, on YouTube. And he does Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots. He's a really good cartoonist, and he does a live stream every Saturday around 11. And anytime I'm live streaming on a Saturday morning, I'm never going to cross streams, or I'm going to try like hell not to cross streams with Gary's stream, because I love Gary's stream and I like watching it. So I would encourage everybody in the chats, let's go keep Gary Hodges company at 11. And if you guys are there, I'll be there too. So I'll see you guys in the chats. I might hop on. I don't know how it goes, but we'll find out. Philip said I have to grab some lunch, but I'll hop on to Gary's live stream very shortly. Cool. I'll see you there, Philip. I'm probably going to grab a bite to eat real quick too. I hope you guys have a good Saturday morning, and I really appreciate every one of you who showed up. And make sure you've picked up a copy of Two Stories, my graphic novel from Amazon. And then if you haven't yet, make sure you pick up a copy of Jacob's Apartment, my latest graphic novel that's available at bookstores everywhere. Go to your local bookstore and ask that they carry it. And with that all being said, if you guys have done that already, thank you very much. And I'll see you guys on Gary's stream. Bye.